Do you constantly find yourself overly attached to men you know aren't good for you? Does that attachment stop you from being able to listen to your own intuition or even your friend's advice? Well, today is the day that all ends, because after we discuss how to not get emotionally attached to a man, you'll have the skill set necessary to be able to not get played ever again, but also to beat the men at their own twisted game. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here or present so I know you're here present and actively participating. Okay. Welcome on this Thursday afternoon, maybe Friday morning for you, depending on where you're at, or Thursday night. Welcome all you beautiful people. We got Rach was the first one up in the TikTok chat today. We got Stargirl here, Zeal here, Isabel, Adorable in the YouTube chat. Of course, we got Missy America holding us down there. We got Ivy as well, Nikisha, Lachey, Melina, and Crystal as well. Ella, lots of beautiful people. Okay, let's get started and we will discuss along the way. Okay, so first let's discuss detachment. Okay, because our first point is to detach. This is part of how you emotionally don't get yourself emotionally attached, is to detach. But at the same time, I want you to understand what you're actually detaching is your mind. Okay. And the mindset change is what's going to stop you from being overly attached to these men and make it very easy to for them to play you. Okay. So you have to specifically detach yourself from the idea. I'll talk to you guys about this before. You have to detach yourself from the idea that this relationship, right? My future, my partner, it has to be you. It has to be me and you together forever. It has to work out. We have to end up in a relationship. We have to end up boyfriend and girlfriend. You have to end up being my husband, you specifically. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, that doesn't sound very good. I should go into my relationships not feeling like they're going to work out. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you should go into your relationships open to the idea that the person I'm spending and investing this time with may or may not be the person I'm looking for. And it's his own responsibility, right? In the process of us growing together and me learning more about him, I will observe, listen, and better understand if he is the person that I'm looking for. He is the person on my wish list. We'll talk about wish list in a little bit. If he is the person that I actually need as a partner for the rest of my life. Right? You should have an already existing understanding of what it is you're looking for and what that person looks like, sounds like, what job they work, how they talk, how they speak to you, what your relationship looks like. That way, when you go out into your life and you go out and you explore other people, you get to sit back and observe them to decide for yourself if that person fits the criteria of what it is you're trying to build, right? If that person is in line with the destination that you're trying to go to. So when I say you need to detach your mind, what I'm specifically referring to is you need to detach yourself from the idea that this relationship with this person has to work out. They have to turn into the person I'm looking for, rather than you doing the observing of and realizing if they are that person. You're not trying to force him to become that person. You're not trying to justify his actions until he can finally show you that he's that person. You're not trying to forgive him up until he can possibly maybe become that person. You're just sitting back, relaxing, and determining through the process of growing with him and growing this relationship if he ends up being that person. And once you come to a crossroads where you realize to yourself, hey, this is not that person, you then pull yourself back and you stop investing your time and energy into him, because there is no more purpose to it. You're not building anything with him from there on out. Okay. So I'll give you guys an example of what I'm specifically referring to. Let's say me and you are dating. right? And we're growing together and all that good stuff. And in the process of us dating, you know that you're looking for a guy who's super respectful, who can be on time and have discipline in the relationship and, you know, build a schedule and be consistent. Throughout the process of our relationship, you realize that I'm super disrespectful. I talk to you however I feel like talking to you. I don't show up on time for our dates. I don't know how to schedule dates. It's like you got to do all the work. I don't know how to be a man. I don't know how to lead you. Right? Rather than you saying, oh, but I like you so much. Oh, but I wanted so badly for us to be in a relationship. Oh, but I needed so badly for it to work out because of how much I like you or how much I want to be with you or how much I wanted this to work because it just feels good and I want it to work. Right? Rather than having that approach, your approach is, no, despite the fact that I like you and I'm interested in you, that does not mean that you're necessarily the person that I'm looking for. Actually, it's my job to sit here and observe and learn you, ask questions. We'll talk about asking questions in a little bit, and ask questions, ask good questions, ask specific questions, grow my understanding and knowledge of who you are, how you operate, how you approach things, how you approach life. In the process of me observing, I will gather a whole bunch of information. And if the information comes back to me and tells me that you're not the person that I'm looking for, then that's my answer. And I will accept that as the truth rather than trying to force you to be someone that you're not, rather than trying to force our relationship to be something that it is not. I will sit back and allow you to show me if you are that person. That's what I mean when I say you have to detach your mind from the outcome of the relationship. Right? The only thing you should be attached to is the person that you're looking for, not a face to the person, but an embodiment of what the relationship is, what the dynamic is, and how you want to be treated. That's what you become attached to, not any specific particular person. The person that you're looking for that fits that criteria is the person that you wanted to be with, not just any random person that you find yourself liking. Okay? Because everything that we're going to discuss today is not necessarily just about, how to not get emotionally attached by not feeling feelings. Okay, that's ridiculous. I'm always going to try to help you guys by giving you real advice that can actually help you, that you can actually utilize. And you can't utilize, just don't feel anything, just don't think anything, just don't like anyone, and just be completely removed from everything that you do. That's not really going to work for you. Okay, so we have to acknowledge you're going to have feelings. You're also going to have feelings for people, especially the men that you date, but that doesn't stop you from being able to identify what you're actually here for or what your actual needs are. Okay, that's the key here. You're still going to have emotions. You're still going to have thoughts. You're still going to have feelings. You're still going to like guys. But even in the process of you liking guys and having those emotions, you still know what you're here for. And you still know why you're here. And that allows you to kind of go through this relationship from a detached standpoint where you're not necessarily so heavily invested that you forget what it is that you came here to even do in the first place. Does that make sense to you guys so far? Right? Crystal says, most like hiring or firing an employee. I 100% agree. And I know when I start talking like this, for a lot of you guys are like, what, this sounds so transactional. This doesn't really sound like love to me. This doesn't really sound like, like two people who are really in love with each other, that really care about each other and all that good stuff. Here's the thing. Okay. Even if it might not sound like that, it's more beneficial for your long-term mental health simply because you're the one receiving. When we talked about this yesterday, you're the one receiving the men physically and spiritually and mentally, emotionally, all that. Okay. And in the process of you receiving, you need to be doing the job of vetting the men that you're going on dates with to determine, okay, is this someone I should allow into me? Because rest assured, whatever trauma he has, whatever person he is, whatever energy he has will be transfused into you if, regardless of if the relationship works out or not. So you need to be the one that's careful of who you allow inside you, both emotionally and physically. And so it does end up becoming a lot like a job hire, because the same way you'd have a ton of candidates and a lot of people who want the job, that doesn't mean you're going to give the job to a lot of people. Okay. Only one person is going to get the job. And that person is going to be qualified for the job by showing me through the interview process that you can actually do this job correctly. Okay, does that make sense? Right? So number one was detaching, and detaching specifically your mind from the outcome. Number two, let's talk about passions. Now, I've talked to you guys about passions and hobbies a bunch of times before on the show, and I'm going to continue talking to you about it because it's so important, especially when we're talking about how to not get emotionally attached to a guy, that you have passions and hobbies. Because for a lot of you, I hate to say this, for a lot of you, you women are in positions where you don't spend enough time on you. And so the first guy that comes along that you like, all of your attention and energy and focus goes right onto him. And while you might think, well, that's so romantic, it's just like a movie, it's just like a fairy tale, my whole life is just him, everything is about him. What really ends up happening is you end up going through an emotional roller coaster of drastic proportions where you're up some days and some days you're down low in the dumps. Why? Because your entire self-worth, your life, your mind, your happiness is all based on one flawed human being. A flawed human being that one day might show you a lot of attention and another day might not show you that much attention. That also has their own things going on for themselves. They might be more focused on themselves or what they're doing. They might have friends or other places to spend their time or energy. And the moment things aren't absolutely amazing, your entire world comes crashing down because everything about your essence and your being and your life is focused on one flawed individual. Okay? And the reason I say it like that is because if you lack passions or hobbies, then you lack the ability to have anything in your own life that you can focus your time and energy on. And if you have nothing in your life that you can focus your time and energy on, then all of your focus will go to whatever guy it is that you're dating at that current moment or that you like at that current moment, which in turn will make you be an anxious ball of anxiety and stress that is so worried about losing him because you're going to lose all of your happiness. You're going to lose all of your investment. You're going to lose everything emotionally and physically, right? And that anxiety that you carry around with you is actually going to be very unattractive to the guys that you're dating because they're going to feel that anxiety coming off of you, right? The anxiety is literally going to be steaming out of your pores. And the desperation as well. And in the process of that, the way you approach a relationship when you're super anxious and desperate, really, because you're so scared that it will end, is going to be very unattractive to those men. And they're going to be taking steps back from you, which is only going to make you more anxious, which is going to make them take more steps back. And it's like a vicious cycle. Okay, so you have to solve the root of the problem by having other things that you focus your time and energy on. Okay, Nikisha West, thank you so much. She started off fast and hot and heavy with a donation of $5 in the YouTube chat. Thank you so much, everyone. Give Nikisha a round of applause. Thank you, appreciate that. So the reason I bring up passions and hobbies is because I know some of you don't have those, but I want you to understand how important those are, not just like for your relationships as well, but also for you and your well-being, right? You should, just because you're a girl, okay, I'll give you a newsflash, just because you're a girl, you're a woman, that doesn't mean that it's illegal for you to have any passions or hobbies or things you care about outside of just being someone's wife or girlfriend. That's not illegal. Okay? That's not illegal. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to have focuses outside of just your relationship. Okay, it's not illegal. And the reason I say that is because I want you also, if you don't know what your passions or hobbies are, if you don't know what other things you would even want to be focusing your time and energy on, well, then you need to stop everything you're doing and focus all of your attention on trying to find that and discover that. Okay? That's the very first thing you need to be discovering. Why? Because if you don't discover that, you're not going to be in any position to have good and healthy relationships because of what I just mentioned before with your anxiety and all of that stuff that's going to come if you're not having your passions or hobbies. Okay. Right. And so, like I mentioned to you guys before, a great way, if you're super unsure about, I don't know what my passions or hobbies are, I don't know what I care about, I don't know what's important to me, I don't know what I should do, I don't know what direction I should go in, I don't know how to find my passions or hobbies. First of all, you need to try things. It's probably going to require you to step outside of your house. I know that's scary, but it's okay. In the process of you stepping outside of your house and trying new things, some of them you'll fail at. It's okay to fail. We all fail, including me. We're all human. And some things you'll try and you won't like. That's perfectly fine as well. And then some things you'll try and you'll be like, oh, this is amazing. This is awesome. This is the best thing I've ever experienced. I want to do this 1,000 more times. Right? And whatever that thing is to you, right? That's the thing. I can't tell you what it is that you're going to love or what it is your passion or hobby should be, because that's unique to you and your personality and who you are. But once you discover that in the process of trying new things, now you'll finally know what it is that you can spend your time and energy on instead of just focusing on boys. And the funniest part about it is this moment you start focusing your time and energy on something else and actually become invested in the thing is the moment that all the boys are attracted to you and stick onto you like glue. Okay. And so one of the best ways to figure out what your hobbies or passions are, because I like giving you guys real, actual, tangible things you can use. I've said it before. For those of you on TikTok, this will be easy for you. For those of you who are on YouTube, if you have a TikTok, I'm assuming you do, you just head over to TikTok. You type in things to do in my city. So if you live in Nigeria, things to do in Nigeria, things to do in New York, things to do in Los Angeles, things to do in Miami, other than clubs, things to do in Manchester, things to do in wherever it is you live, UK, London, wherever it is you live. And when you type in things to do in your city, or if you live in a suburb or on the outskirts, type in things to do in the closest large city to you. When you type in things to do there, what's going to happen is you're going to see a whole bunch of videos from content creators that make videos about things you can do in that city. Okay? Now, in the process of them making videos about things they can do in that city, I want you to exclude everything that's a club, a bar, or a restaurant, simply because those are the most basic places to go. And you'll also find low quality people there. You're not really going to do anything that you're passionate about in a club, bar, or restaurant. Okay? Now, outside of that, I want you to be looking at all the different things there are to do in a city, in a major city, that you might find interesting. And literally, you don't even have to think. All you have to do is scroll until you see something that you find interesting enough that you'd be willing to try it. And then all you have to do is get a girlfriend, or you can go by yourself if you want. But if you're too nervous to go by yourself, get a girlfriend and go and try the thing. And keep repeating that process until you actually try something and experience something that you really enjoy, that you really have fun doing, that really stimulates you, and then stick to that thing. Because now you know there's something there. If you find that really enjoyable, or you really like doing that thing, and you would do it over and over again, and that will become your thing. Okay, does that make sense? And in the process of trying things and trying things and trying things, you will eventually find what it is that your passion and hobbies are. And the moment you find that, I'm telling you, your life will feel like it has so much more oomph and meaning to it, simply because now you actually feel like you have a purpose. You do have a purpose. We all have a purpose. And your purpose is not just being someone's wife or girlfriend. But the moment you discover what your purpose is, you're going to feel like the world is so much bigger and full of so much more possibilities and happiness and enjoyment and life when you find your purpose. Okay? I'll be the first one to tell you that. It's there waiting for you. Now, all of our purposes aren't going to be the same thing, but we all have one. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys so far? Right? And so I talked about it, like you could go to a museum. You could, take up an art class. Paint. You could start painting if you want to paint. You could start drawing if you've been drawing since you were a kid, but you gave it up just because you grew up. You could become a YouTuber. You could, become a director. You could write movies. You could write books. You could read books. Whatever it is that you want to try or you find interesting, do that. and actually build out some sort of like short-term and long-term goals as it relates to that, right? Don't just do something necessarily aimlessly, but have some goals that you can continue coming back to and being like, I want to do more. I want to get more out of this. I want to get more out of this experience. I want to continue doing this and growing in this. Have something that you can grow in. That way, you're not desperate for a relationship to take up all of your time and energy and focus, because that's the other problem, is that once you find yourself in a relationship, one of your problems in terms of getting emotionally attached to guys is not just being attached to the guy, but also being attached to the fact that you can focus all your time and energy on that guy and that relationship. How many of you have been there before or know that that's either been you or still is you, where you're not just attached to the guy, but you're attached to the fact that you get to focus all your time and attention on him and on the relationship. And the fact that you don't get to do that, or if the relationship ends, you feel like you'll be very bored or your life will be very uninteresting if you don't have that relationship to focus your time and energy on. Okay? And it's crazy. It's crazy because even in a negative sense, when you're chasing around Scooby-Doo clues, right? What I mean by chasing around Scooby-Doo clues is just checking his Instagram, seeing who he's with, seeing who he's hanging out with, making sure putting this story and this story together, seeing if he hung out with his ex last week, or if he's texting his ex, or what his ex is posting, if he's in this place with her and who he's talking to and this and that, right? And chasing around Scooby-Doo clues by trying to figure out who he's talking to, where his whereabouts are and all that good stuff can also become addicting, because you spend so much time and energy and focus trying to figure out everything about him and about his life that you don't have any energy or focus left for yourself. But you enjoy the fact that you get to ignore your own needs and not focus on yourself. I really mean that, right? You get addicted to the fact that you don't have to focus or think about yourself, and you only have to focus and think about him, because you find it way more stimulating to focus on him and what he's doing, because it's painful to focus on you and what you're doing or not doing, because that forces you to look inward and actually make changes within yourself. And for a lot of us, it's a lot more uncomfortable to face ourselves and realize what we need to be doing or what we're not doing for ourselves, than to just distract ourselves by paying all of our time and attention on someone else. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys so far? Now, so I talked about attachment. I talked about hobbies, right? Or sorry, the hobbies and passions. Now let's discuss number 3, which is muting him. Now we're in the weeds, okay? This is where I'm going to start ranting. You need to, if you want to avoid being too overly emotionally attached to him, you need to mute him. And some of you might be a little bit older, not to diss, we all get old. Some of you that might be in your 40s and 50s might not be quite sure what I mean when I say mute him. Tell me in the chat if you know what I mean when I say mute him. Okay? But some of you who are younger, who are more accustomed to social media, know exactly what I mean when I say mute him. When I say you need to mute him, what I'm referring to is you need to stop feeding that vicious monster inside you. It's a monster. It's a monster. It's a monster that constantly wants to be checking in on him, checking his stories, checking his profile, checking his WhatsApp status, checking his Snap score. Stop checking his Snap score. Stop checking his Snap score. It is a monster within you that will become addicted to consistently checking up on him and everything he's doing. The problem with this is this addiction becomes very hard for you to pull yourself out of, because you become accustomed to making all of your focus on what he's doing And because you're so focused on what he's doing, subsequently, you become extremely emotionally invested in his life and everything about him. Now, I'm not saying that the guys you date, you should not be invested in their life or care about them whatsoever, but there's a balance between caring about someone, caring about their well-being, and being so emotionally invested in every little thing that they're doing that you have no space to think about anything else but to obsess over the minute details of their life. Okay? Muting him, for those of you who have a monster inside of you, because I know some of you have this monster inside of you. For those of you that have that monster inside of you, muting him is the perfect way to not be so emotionally attached to that man. Because yes, muting him for the first couple of days is going to be painful because you're going to feel like, damn, I so badly want to check it. I so badly want to see if he posted. I so badly want to see who he's out with. I so badly want to see who's there and all that stuff like that. But after a while of you muting him, the whole purpose of it, right, is that you don't even see it in the first place. And so your brain can only continually focus on it. The more you check it, the more you remind yourself to focus on it. But as time goes on and you don't check it and you don't look at it, right, you just begin to forget about it. And it stops becoming so important. And as time goes on, the monster becomes easier and easier to control. But every time you feed the monster grows bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it becomes harder to control. I will give you a newsflash. You're not in the right place if you're checking his snap score 24/7. Tell me in the chat right now. So I know some of you are on the younger side. Some of you are even on the older side. Some might use Snapchat, some might not. But tell me right now, if you've ever checked a guy's snap score to see if it's went up since the last time he texted you, or since the last time he hung out with you, or because he's not talking to you, or because he's ignoring you, or because there's no contact, and you're trying to check his snap score to see if he's messaging or snapping other people. Tell me if that's ever been you. You better admit to me the truth. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Okay? Right? And for some of you, it might not even be Snapchat. For some of you, it might be WhatsApp and checking his WhatsApp status 24/7. For some of you, it might be the Instagram stories and checking his Instagram stories 24/7. For some of you who are on the older side, there's nothing wrong with being old. For some of you who are on the older side, it might be checking his Facebook stories, right? Or his Facebook status. Okay? And regardless of what app it is, regardless of what way you check it, the concept is the same. You need to mute him. Now, when I say mute him, when I bring up mute because mute is a reference to the specific terminology of going on someone's profile. When you click mute that person, it will not show you their stories or their posts anymore unless you purposely go on their profile and look at it. Okay? And the reason I say mute him is not because, oh, you necessarily all have to go, but if you know that you are someone who can't control yourself, and if you see it, you're going to check it 24/7, muting is a great option to easily allow yourself to just not think about it anymore, as opposed to constantly trying to fight the urge when the urge for some of you might be so strong that you can't control it. Okay? And it's a feature that a lot of you can utilize to not be so emotionally invested in guys that you have no business being emotionally invested in, okay? Because there's nothing wrong with wanting to see what your boyfriend is doing, that's boyfriend of 2 years, but there's a big difference between seeing what your boyfriend of 2 years is doing and what he's up to versus trying to check in on, is that the same wine glass that I saw in Sarah's profile on his Instagram story of the guy you just started dating 2 weeks ago? Or the guy that you're in a situationship with. That is a very dangerous place to be when you're feeding that monster for a man who you're not even in a committed relationship with. You got to take a chill pill. You got to relax, because when you're in that place and you're feeding that monster, you're going to be so emotionally invested in everything that he's doing. Your anxiety is going to be constantly through the roof. Constantly through the roof. And when your anxiety is constantly through the roof, it's going to show in your relationship. You're going to become very desperate and very needy. And we've talked about this plenty of times. That becomes very, very unattractive. And you're not going to get guys to chase you when you're presenting them with that desperate, needy energy. They're actually going to be repulsed by you. They're going to take several steps back from you. And you're going to find yourself chasing after those men instead. As tragic as that is. And I don't want you to put yourself in a position where you're so desperate and needy, you're chasing after men instead of them chasing and pursuing you. Okay, so very important that you mute those men if you have that monster. But even if you don't have that monster, you at least mute him in your mind where you're not tempted, or you're just not doing it overall, checking his stories, checking his WhatsApp status, checking his Snap score, none of that, checking his Facebooks, none of that. Because that all just feeds that idea of you getting so super invested in him and what he's doing with his life that you don't spend any time thinking about yourself. And you find it even more difficult to actually do the job of observing, which we'll get to in a little bit, of observing to determine if this is even the person that you're supposed to be in a relationship with. Okay? Right? So, number one, we had detaching. Number two, we talked about passions. Number three, we said you should need to mute him. Number four, share less. Okay? Share a lot less. Tell me in the chat right now, don't lie to me, tell me the truth right now. Tell me in the chat, are you an oversharer with the guys that you like? Do you trauma dump with the guys that you like? Are you a yapper with the guys that you like? Tell me the truth in the chat right now. This is like therapy. I don't want you to lie to me. I don't want you to tell me a story. Don't tell me what I want to hear. Tell me the truth. Are you a yapper? Are you an oversharer? Are you a trauma dumper? Okay. If you're any one of those things, we need to get you to pull all the way back. Okay. You're going to walk a mile backwards. Okay. You're going to stop doing that, and you're going to stop doing it a lot. Okay? Because when you overshare, when you trauma dump, when you yap, you don't give yourself any time or space to actually be able to observe him and his actions and his words. See, the thing about it is, someone can deceive you very good. Very good. People are good at deceiving and deception. Here's the thing though. Deception only works if you say just enough to be believable. The deception gets exponentially harder the more someone talks and the more someone says. So what I mean by that is, if a guy is trying to pull the wool over your eyes and pretend like he's trying to build a real relationship with you and be the love of your life, when in reality he's just trying to sell you a dream so that he can sleep with you and then F off, that becomes exponentially harder the more and more he talks. Because even in the process of him knowing what he's trying to present to you and what he's trying to sell you on, as he's talking and yapping about himself and telling you about himself, telling you about his life and all that good stuff, he's going to slip up and tell you some things that inadvertently show you what his true feelings or intentions are. It's just natural to humans, right? People can lie, but they can only lie for so long before enough words, enough sentences, enough conversation, you start to get cracks in the base there. And the reason I bring that up and why you should share less in order to not be so emotionally invested in these guys is because the less you share with someone of yourself and your life and your experiences, that also is the less you are emotionally invested in that guy. It's the same reason why I tell you to always get the guy talking about himself, about his life, about his experiences, about what he's been through. Like, get him yapping, get him oversharing, get him trauma dumping. Why? Because it gets him emotionally invested in you. How? Because he's giving parts of himself, right? Intimate parts of his thoughts, his feelings, his opinions, all that good stuff, he's giving that to you. And as he continues to share with you things that are close to his heart, things that he really cares about, situations that are really traumatic to him, he's going to start feeling like he has entrusted you with information about him that really matters to him, and that you are carrying around a piece of himself with you because of all that he's given up to you emotionally and mentally, from a thoughts and feelings perspective. And the more he shares with you like that, the deeper the connection and bond he feels towards you, the more emotionally invested he is to you. I know that some people, like you guys love Shira, some of you, and you guys love comparing me to Shira, and like I'm like a male Shira. But my only big difference is I know Shira likes to focus on the financial investment, right? I like to focus more on the emotional investment, right? Same concept, but just different sides of the coin there. And the reason I think that the emotional investment is so important is because the more you get him emotionally invested in you, the harder it is for him to even play the tricks or the schemes on you that he was trying to play. And the easier it is for you to sit back and do what you're supposed to be doing, which is observing and listening, and then determining based on what you observe and hear if this is the person that you actually are going to end up with based on your already existing criteria. Which is why it's so important to share less, because all that time that you're not sharing, it can be time that he is sharing, which means it's information that you're gathering. Remember, I always tell you guys this, this dating game, if you want to call it a game, this is all the winner of the dating game will always be the person that gathers the most information. Because if he gathers more information than you, then he knows how to present himself to you to get what he wants from you, i.e. Squirtle from you. If you gather enough information about him and you realize what he's actually there for before you give him away Squirtle, then you stop yourself from making the mistake of giving yourself to someone who's not actually there for the right reasons, right? Sorry, you don't make that mistake. And when you don't make that mistake, you win because you had the most information. And so you weren't able to be fooled. And so that's why I say in this game, in this push and pull, the person with the most information wins. So you should always be aiming to have the most amount of information. Don't be aiming to get your rocks off by oversharing. Don't be aiming to get your rocks off by trauma dumping. Don't be aiming to get your rocks off by yapping about yourself just because it makes you feel good. Nothing wrong with getting things off your chest. Nothing wrong even with yapping. But you don't need to be yapping to everyone. And you definitely don't need to be yapping to every guy that you go on a date with. Because the reality of it is every guy that you go on a date with is not the guy that you're going to end up with. So you want to be ensuring that the only people you're entrusting with the deepest, darkest sides of you that are close to your heart are men who are the man who is actually going to end up being in a serious long-term relationship with you. Not just any random man just because you feel good getting some stuff off your chest. Okay? Does that make sense to you guys so far? So I'll give you guys an example of something a guy might ask you and how I want you to respond, okay? So let's say he asks you, what do you like in a guy? Rather than telling him everything that you like and want in a man, I actually specifically want you to be vague purposely about what you want in a guy. Why? Because the less you share, the less information he has, and the less invested you become in him. Also, the more vague you are, the harder it is for him to put on the mask of whatever it is you're describing that you want and become that. Okay, so if he asks you, what do you like in a guy? I want you to tell him, I like a guy who's funny, conversational, and is a good time. Basic, generic stuff that literally could be anyone. It could be your dog. You could have a good conversation with your dog. Your dog could be funny. Okay? Your dog could be a good time. Right? And the reason I want you to be vague in general, this is in the process of sharing less, is because it stops you One, from oversharing and you becoming so emotionally invested in the man, but it also stops him from having so much information that he can sit back and say, so you say that you want a man who will sweep you off your feet, text you every day, text you good morning every day, say, hey, beautiful every day, buy you flowers once a week and bring it to your house and get you a new dress and all, right? And he just thinks to himself, cool. So now I have the playbook on exactly what I should do and how I should do it and when I should do it if I want to sleep with you. Because if you're telling me that's what you want in a man, then you're also telling me if I do that, you're going to assume I'm the man for you. And if you assume I'm the man for you, even if I'm not, it's good for me because I get to sleep with you faster. Right? I get to sleep with you faster because you're convinced this is the relationship you're meant to be in. And it becomes very difficult for you to determine if someone's being truthful and authentic to how they feel or what they want or what they're there for, or if they're just trying to put on a mask for you, put on their Prince Charming suit for you, that you will think they are the man that you're looking for, but they're not actually the man that you're looking for. Okay? Right? Base Beauty says, I'll say I like a man, right? Callie says, right? Funny and conversational. Exactly. Very vague, very simple. Okay? And if he tries to dig deeper, literally just pretend like you just don't know. Okay? It's okay. It's okay to act dumb sometimes to get what you want. Okay? Sometimes acting dumb can be to your benefit because people think that you're not scheming because you're acting dumb. It's okay. You have a plan. It's fine. He can think whatever he wants to think. Just be vague, be general, that he won't have any real information to go off of, that he can't come to you and be like, look, I'm going to be exactly who you said you wanted me to be. And then you'll be so overwhelmed. Oh my God, this is exactly what I dreamed of in my Disney princess imagination. Oh my God, this is exactly what I thought it would be like when I was thinking of my Wattpad story. Oh my God, this is exactly what I thought it would be like when I was reading my smut book, and you're just doing exactly everything that I thought it would be. And then you sleep with him. And then he's like, cool, this is great. I'm so glad that we could do this. Let's maybe do this again in a couple weeks, but like, I'll let you know. Okay. You don't want to put yourself in that situation. So we talked about detaching your mind. We talked about passions. We talked about muting him. We talked about sharing a lot less. Now, let's get to a topic that really grinds my gears. Okay? I'm going to rant. It's okay, though. When I rant, you'll feel the extent of my wrath, and you'll hopefully change this if this is you. Okay? You need to stop texting men 24/7. You actually need to cut it off altogether. Okay? Why? As you go on in your relationship with this man and you become accustomed to texting him and talking to him on the phone 24/7, what's going to happen is you're going to become deeply invested and attached to the idea that this man is going to be available for you to talk to and spend all his time and energy and focus on you 24 hours a day. It is so unrealistic and unsustainable because even if he texts you a lot at the very beginning, there's no possible way that can last for the entire span of your relationship. Okay? The problem with that is when you couple the attachment you get to talking to someone 24/7 combined with the fact that you don't have your own hobbies or passions or anything that you're focused on outside of him, what's going to happen is the minute that he is not giving you the maximum amount of attention over text, right? Texting you back in 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, insta texting you. Before you can even text the text, he's already texted you back what he knew you were going to say. Snapchatting you while he's texting you. Sending you Instagram memes and reels while he's texting you, sending you TikTok memes while he's texting you, right? And this constant 24-hour cycle of constant communication, you become so emotionally invested in that man and speaking to him all the time. that's when you go into that world of being a quivering ball of anxiety who is losing her mind anytime your man is not showing you the utmost absolute validation and attention in that moment. Okay? And like I said before, when you become that quivering ball of anxiety where your world comes crashing down, if your man's not validating you or giving you all his possible attention and focus, you're going to become very unattractive to the guys that you're dating. And you're going to find it very hard to, one, get guys to pursue you and chase you. You'll also find it very difficult to actually be in healthy relationships with guys, or to draw yourself away from people who aren't treating you how you deserve to be treated. Because rather than being able to observe a situation and walk away from a situation when it doesn't serve you, you're going to be so overly attached to the man and the situation and the relationship that you literally can't leave, because you're in such fear and anxiety that you're going to miss out on so much if you're not with that particular guy or in that relationship, when in reality, you're perfectly fine by yourself. Perfectly fine. Okay? Now, the texting bothers me because I know how much some of you love the texting, and I know how important it has become to some of you, especially for those of us who are young, on the younger side, and in our early 20s and things like that. I don't want to pretend like texting isn't a part of how we do our relationships now, but I want you to understand that emotional investment that you begin to feel in people when you're texting them is not real, okay? Is not real. You're emotionally investing yourself in the idea of a person because some of you are pen pals. Okay, we've talked about pen pals before. Pen pals just means a person you text all the time, but you don't actually see in real life. Even someone you text and call sometimes, but you don't actually see them in real life. That's a pen pal. Okay, that's not a relationship. That's not even someone you're talking to. You don't know that person, because you could text someone 24/7. You could FaceTime them even 24/7 or call them 24/7. And by the time you see them in person, you feel very differently about that person or the interaction you've had with them. Why? Because the energy you feel with from someone over the phone is going to be very different from the energy you feel from someone when you're actually sitting in three-dimensional space across from them, looking into their eyes. And the confusion that you feel, or the disconnect that you feel between what you felt over the phone versus what you feel right now, is going to make you confused, very confused. When in reality, the only reason you're confused is because you actually thought that the real person you were meeting was the person over the phone, when you should have just left your determination of who that person is based on the person you met in real life. Okay? NW says stranger. Yes, it's a stranger that you're meeting. Okay? And you're not getting to know that stranger by texting that stranger more. And for some of you that love the 24-hour text cycle, I text you and text you and text you up until the next time I see you. Then I see you. Then as soon as I walk out of the door frame, as soon as my foot walks out of that door frame, I pick up my phone and I start type into you again, because I don't want a second to go by where I'm not in constant communication with you. It's ridiculous, and it's also putting you in a position where you're drawn so deeply in to a man, and your expectation becomes that you're going to talk to this man every day, all day, 7 days a week, that the smallest change or inconvenience in that, where he doesn't text you back, or he's not talking to you, or let's say you guys are in a fight or an argument and there's no contact, you're willing to break all your own rules and boundaries and forgive everything simply to save and cure your own anxiety and pain that you feel by not talking to this man 24/7. This is how it really, really ends up hurting you, because that anxiety becomes so painful that you literally feel like you cannot let him go, or you cannot set a boundary because you're scared that, oh my gosh, if I set a boundary or I go no contact or I punish him for what he did, then that means I won't talk to him. But if I'm not talking to him 24/7, my life is literally going to be over. Okay? So I don't want that for you. So if you want a straight understanding of what you need to be doing, for you beautiful, amazing, awesome A+ students, tell them in the chat that are new here what you need to be doing with your phone instead of using it as a way to get to know people. What do you use the phone for? What do you use the phone as? Instead of a way to get to know people and build your relationship with them over text. What should you be using your texting and your phone as instead? For you beautiful A+ students, please tell the people who are new here. I want to see how well you guys know this, that you can inform the people who just got here and are learning all of this stuff that we talk about now. Okay, right? So for those of you who are new here, read what everyone in the chat is saying. You use your phone and your texting as a scheduling tool. Okay? It is a scheduling tool that man can reach you and get your schedule and, compare and contrast schedules to be able to plan the next in-person date, meeting, or hangout, whatever you want to call it. Okay? It is a scheduling tool used for that purpose and that purpose alone. That will keep the men invested in pursuing not just you overall, but pursuing seeing you in real life. Because some of you are making the mistake of literally encouraging men to pursue you through text and only be focused on how they talk to you through text instead of having their focus solely on how much they're seeing you in person. Okay. And we've talked about that plenty of times, why texting is bad. I'll continue to talk about it because it's so important that you guys understand and don't fall prey to the natural inclination that you have to want to text someone and get to know them over message. Okay. And Zio asked, what about long distance relationships? Like I always say, there's a large majority of you that aren't actually in a long distance relationship. You have a pen pal. That's a different thing than a long distance relationship because for a lot of you, actually, you're in a position where you're just texting and calling and FaceTiming someone that you have no plans of seeing in person. That's a pen pal. Okay? That's not a long distance relationship. Now, for those of you who are actually in a real long distance relationship with someone that you've met in person plenty of times and you see on a regular, or you've at least seen on a regular basis, and then maybe you became long distance, or you see them on a regular basis while being long distance. Okay. For those of you that are in that position, you still want to be maximizing using your time to schedule, using your texting, using your phone to schedule in-person meetings. Now, obviously, if you're in a long distance relationship and there's no way you can see each other for the next 6 months, I would advise you to use FaceTime or video chat as a way to supplement the times that you'd be able to spend with each other, because that's at least the closest thing to being in person. I would definitely still not advise you to be texting all day 24/7, and I wouldn't even advise you to be, phone calling is better, but FaceTime would be the best thing because you can see their reaction, and scheduled FaceTimes would be the best thing if you're in a long distance relationship because you can see their face, you can see their responses, you can kind of get a sense of what they're like and what their vibe is. At the same time, scheduling the FaceTime gets the man in the habit of scheduling his time out with you and actually planning for that time. I'm not talking about impromptu FaceTimes where he calls you at 2 a.m. and you just wake up and you're half asleep and you guys don't really talk about anything and you fall asleep on the phone. I'm talking about a scheduled FaceTime where the FaceTime is for the purpose of getting to know each other and hanging out with each other over the phone, quote unquote. That's what you do in a long distance relationship. Other than that, you should not be. I never advise you to consistently text someone. You will never get to know someone that way. You'll never learn anything real about the person that way. Okay, so no texting. So number 1, we had detach. Number 2 was passions. Number 3, you got to mute him. Number 4, you share less. Number 5, no texting. Okay, and number 6, observe more. Okay, so use your wish list. We talked about wish lists in the past. What I mean when I say wish list, all I'm referring to is you need to have, I would advise you to write down a list, whether it be in your phone or you want to write it down on paper or you want to type it out, whatever you want to do. Write down a list of everything you want in a man, in a relationship, and in a partner. And when I say everything you want, I mean be super specific and detailed. Talk about what you want his hairstyle to be, how tall you want him to be. Talk about where you want to live with your partner when you guys get married. Talk about what job you want him to have. Talk about how many teeth you want him to have. Does he have his wisdom teeth in or his wisdom teeth taken out? Do you want him to have braces when he was a child? I had braces when I was a child. Okay, do you want him to be 6'3", 6'1", 5 foot nothing? What do you want, a midget? What do you want? You describe everything. What type of clothes he wears, how long are his toenails, everything about him, how long his pee-pee, all of that. Right? And the reason I want you to be so specific is because the more specific you are to what you want and what you desire and what your needs are, the easier it will be to identify if the person you're on it and you're dating or you're on a date with or you're in the process of getting to know, if that person is fitting the criteria that you have for yourself and the partner that you want. Okay, so it's so important to know what it is that you want in detail, very specifically, that you can determine if that is that person. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay, let me just make sure. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure there's nothing going weird with my stream there. Okay? Are we on the same page so far? On TikTok, is it still glitching for you guys or is it better now? I want to make sure that it's better now. Okay? So, very important. You observe way more and you determine if that guy is fitting the criteria of what you were looking for already in a man and in a partner. You don't just hop into your talking stages or, your dating stages or whatever and just say, I'm just going to go with the flow and see if he can show me what it was that I wanted in a guy. No. You're not waiting for the guy to show you if he is the thing that you needed or want. No. You know what you want already coming into the relationship and you allow him to show you if he is that. Oh, something happened with my TikTok live stream. Sorry. It cut out on TikTok. Let me just reconnect it here on TikTok. Sorry about that, guys. One second. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. TikTok, you guys know TikTok always very finicky. So, very important. You have to observe more. That way you're not blinded by how you feel in the moment, because the mistake is that when you only go by what you feel in the moment and you're not in observation mode and you're not trying to determine and listen to what he's saying to realize if he is the person for you or he's not, you're going to be in a mode where you're just thinking about how you feel in that current moment. And when you're only thinking about how you feel in that current moment, that's when you're susceptible to him love bombing you, to him tricking you, to him using you or taking advantage of you, because you're so focused on how you feel right now that if he can overwhelm you with emotions, with love bombing, with words and all that good stuff, then all you'll be able to think about is how good you feel right now, instead of being able to think about what you're actually here for. Okay? Does that make sense? TikTok's being so weird right now. Okay, so I'll give you guys a direct example so that we can all be on the same page. All right. So let's say you know that you want a man who can maturely resolve conflict, and observe that and in the process of you knowing that you want a man who can maturely resolve conflict, you sense and realize in the process of getting to know him, he's got a large temper and he tends to throw temper tantrums whenever something small happens. And this happens on a consistent basis. Now, it's very easy when you're in a state of observing to realize, oh, actually, I know what I'm seeking. I know what I need in a relationship. I also know that you're not in line with that. And it becomes way more obvious to know if the person that you're trying to build a relationship with is the person that you're looking for in terms of your future, or if they're not that. Because in this example that I just gave you, as soon as you identify, oh, you have some character traits that I'm not looking for. Actually, these character traits are the opposite of what I'm looking for or what I'm searching for in a man or in a partner. Now you immediately know, okay, so it's time for me to stop investing myself and my time and energy into you. Why? Because you've shown me that you're not the person I'm looking for. That's fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings. You're not even a bad person because of that. I know that I'm only here to invest my time and energy in the person I'm actually looking for. So the moment you identify to me that you're not that person, I easily walk away from the situation because I'm not here to fool around or mess around. I'm here to be in a relationship with the person that I'm actually looking for. Does that make sense to you guys so far? Let me know on TikTok if you guys are back with me and everything's looking good, or if things are still weird for you guys. I know there's been some glitches. Okay, so I talked about detaching. Number 2 was passions. Number 3, you needed to mute him. Number 4, you needed to share less. Number 5, no texting. Number 6, I want you to observe more. Now, these last 2 are very interesting. So pay attention. Was that 6? Yeah, so this is 7. I want you to ask negative questions. Okay? And I want you to become very good and strategic at asking negative questions. This is very important. And this will really help you not be so emotionally attached to the guy that you're dating or the guy that you're seeing or the guy that you're talking to. Because when you ask plenty of negative questions that allow him to talk about his less attractive side and the sides of him that aren't so favorable and amazing and awesome, something really interesting happens. You begin to realize that he is a whole human with flaws, that makes mistakes, and probably does some things that turn you off. I know this sounds really strange, but you want to do your best job with the new guys that you're meeting. Get to know them as quickly as possible and get to know the things about them that turn you off, that dry up your squirtle, that make you very unstimulated. Why? Because it quickly brings him back down to earth in your mind. And when they're brought down to earth in your mind, you become less invested in the idea or in the thought that, oh my God, he is like Prince Charming. Oh my God, he is like the most perfect guy I've ever met. Oh my God, he is everything I've ever wanted. Oh my God, this is like I'm living in a dream. Oh my God, everything I could possibly imagine is just like Wattpad, is just like a smart book, is just like everything I could ever dream of. Okay? It's easy to get swept away in that. And once your mind starts going there, right, and you get swept away in that, you'll start doing things and pushing towards trying to make it work with him. Why? Because your mind will be thinking, I need this to work with him. He's so perfect. He's exactly who I'm looking for. He's exactly who I want to be with. And remember at the very beginning, I talked to you guys about detaching your mind from the outcome of, oh, we have to be in this relationship. It has to work out with us or else. It can't be anyone else. Right? And attaching yourself to the idea that I'm just looking for who I'm looking for. If that is you, it's you. If it's not, it's not. And the reason I say you need to ask negative questions is because it quickly it rids you of that state, that mind state where you're in a dream trance that all you can think about is how amazing and perfect he is, when in reality, he's not that amazing and perfect. Yeah, he has some good qualities about him that you'll enjoy and you'll find fascinating and interesting and you'll love, but he definitely, just like any other human being, will have some qualities about him that you don't find as interesting, that you don't enjoy as much, and that you would rather do without, okay? And it's better for you to figure those things out right away, that you can get yourself away from that dream state that will have you making a bunch of mistakes and have you chasing after him instead, that you can see him as a real whole human being and be like, okay, I like you. I think you're interesting. I understand you have some flaws. You have some things that I don't like, but it's good. I know that you're human and you make mistakes. I can work with the 80%. Okay. Rather than you being in a trance thinking that he is absolutely perfect and treating him as such. If you think he's perfect, you're going to try to hoard him because you think you can't find anyone else like him. The moment you bring him back down to earth in your own mind, you'll be like, oh, you're cool. You're not like different, so drastically different from everyone else I've met, but I think that we can work together. Right? And that feeling that you get is very different, but it also allows you to be in the right headspace where now you can sit down and really truly observe him instead of just thinking about how perfect he is. You get what I'm saying? You have to bring him back down to earth in your own mind by asking him negative questions that will get him talking about the things that you find unattractive. Get him talking about the things that you're like, I don't like that. Get him talking about the things that you're like, oh, you're that type of guy, right? And it just makes him seem a little bit more regular to you, as horrible as that sounds. But the more regular he is to you, the less obsessed you become with him, the less super unrealistically overly invested you become in him, that you start chasing after him or making all of those mistakes that we talked about before. Right? Chime says taking him out of that pedestal, 100%. That's literally exactly, you said it even better than I could. Right? You take him off that pedestal that you can stop worshiping him and actually see him as a real individual. But then you also get the benefit of being able to be more clear-minded about the decisions you're making and about what you're seeing in this relationship. Okay? Right? Because just listen, your mind's such a powerful thing. The narratives that you create, your mind's going to want to convince yourself that those narratives are true by using other things that are happening in the relationship or in the span of you guys talking or getting to know each other as justification to prove to you that this narrative is the correct narrative. So if you believe that he's Prince Charming and he's perfect and everything he does is perfect and you've never met anyone like him in your life and you'll never meet anyone like him ever again, then you're going to be stuck on that idea. And even when he does do things like all the other guys did, even when he does use you or take advantage of you like all the other guys were doing, or disrespect you like all the other guys were doing, you're going to constantly justify that in your own mind and try to prove to yourself the narrative of, oh no, he didn't do it because he's disrespectful and he's like the other guys. He did it because, he just cares so much and he loves so hard that, sometimes his passion comes out in different ways. And you'll twist it all type of crazy ways to justify the narrative that you've created in your mind. Okay? Right? And you don't want to be doing that. So you ask him negative questions. Someone earlier said, what type of negative questions should I ask? I'm so glad that you asked me that question, that I can answer it for you. Excuse me. Okay? So here is a great negative question asked. And by the way, when you're asking negative questions, I advise you to be sneaky and to be just strategic about how you answer these negative questions. Don't just say, when's the last time you cheated on your ex? What day? What time? How'd you get caught? Don't do that. Okay. Why? Because that's going to clue him in to the fact you're trying to extract particular information out of him. He's going to either become defensive because he's going to think you're attacking him by interrogating him, or he's going to shut down because he feels like, this is an interrogation and any information he gives off can and will be used against him. Okay. You don't want him to clue into that. You want him to begin confessing to you of his own volition because he feels so comfortable sharing things with you and yapping to you and trauma dumping on you. That's the space you want him to be in. So when I say one of the great questions you need to be asking, I want you to ask, for example, what's the biggest thing you want to work on for yourself so that your future relationships don't end up like your last one? Okay. Notice how this question is structured, that while the answer is most likely going to be in a negative connotation, meaning you're going to tell me some negative qualities about you, I don't make the assumption that you've done something bad or that you're a bad person. I ask a question that allows you to be introspective and think to yourself, what are the things that I probably need to work on? Without saying, hey, you've got some stuff to work on. Hey, you're a bad person. Hey, you need to change, right? You see how when you structure the question that way, I make it seem like your end goal of wanting to have a long-lasting, better relationship is only going to be satisfied if the things that you were doing in your past relationship aren't happening anymore. And if that's the case, then what are the things you were doing in your past relationship that you think hurt that relationship that you want to end so you can have a happy future relationship? And when you word the questions like that, he starts to think to himself, okay, so what do I think I need to work on? And it stops feeling like something he needs to be defensive about, because you didn't make an assumption that he's a bad person. You didn't make an assumption that he cheated on his girlfriend, or he's uncommunicative, or he's super mean and disrespectful. You allowed him the space to tell you that he's mean, disrespectful, that he cheated, that he did this, that he whatever it was that he did. You'll also know if he's trying to pull the wool over your eyes, because when you ask him a question like this, or a question with a negative connotation, he's always going to try and spin it and act like he doesn't do anything wrong, or act like there were no issues, or act like nothing's wrong, or act like there was nothing he contributed to making the relationship end. Then you know you're with someone who's just trying to sell you a dream. Because someone who's trying to sell you a dream is not going to try to be upfront or honest with you about the things that they do that aren't very attractive, or the things, especially a guy is not going to be honest with you about the things and qualities about himself that aren't in line with that Prince Charming vision he wants you to have of him. Okay? So it's very important that you ask these negative questions, because his response, whether he gives you real information or whether he just sugarcoats stuff and tells you a whole bunch of nothing, that will still clue you into what he's there for, what he's about, and it'll bring him down back to earth to you if he does say something about himself. Okay? So I'll repeat the question again for those of you who missed the question, or you're like, I want to write this down. I want to write this down. Okay? So the question was, what's the biggest thing you want to work on for yourself so that in the future, in your future relationships, you don't end up like your last one? They don't end up like your last one. Sorry, I butchered that. I'll say it again. What's the biggest thing you want to work on for yourself so that your future relationships don't work out like your last one? That's the question there for you, okay? Notice I also said your future relationships, not our relationship. So what I mean by that is, when you're on the date with the guy, you're not going to say, so that our relationship doesn't end up like your last one, okay? Because then that starts to feel more personal. You're asking him a question because you want to see what's wrong with him in this relationship that he needs to work on in this relationship. You're already making him defensive. You want to say, for the future of any of your relationships, that you're detaching yourself and him from the situation just so that he can look inward at himself and figure out what he needs to work on. Okay. Not what he needs to work on for you, just what he needs to work on in general. Okay. That's why this can be a great question to ask in that way. Okay. Zeal says, what if he always answers with, I'm not in the mood for interrogations? Well, this is one of two things, right? It's really mostly one thing. If he's constantly answering all your questions whenever you ask something that requires him to be honest about who he really is, and not just tell you, I treat everyone with respect and I love everyone, and my ex, did all the worst to me and I treated her like a princess and all that good stuff. Whenever you ask him a question that requires him to tell you some real stuff about him that might not put him in the best light, and his response is, I'm not trying to be interrogated, then you know that guy is trying to sell you a dream. Because he doesn't want you to realize who he really is, which is why he doesn't want to discuss anything that doesn't put him in the perfect light. Because if you were to hear some of the things that don't put him in a perfect light, then you would realize this isn't someone you should be giving away Squirtle to for free. And he doesn't want you to have that realization, which is why he wants to keep his mouth shut. See, this is the thing. Guys might not be overly emotionally intelligent, but in the process of them growing in relationships and learning how to extract what they want from women, they learn the techniques, even on an emotional sense, to use to get what they want. So guys in the process, even though they might not be masterminds writing all this stuff down in their notebook, they understand, if I'm trying to sell you a dream, I can't be telling you I cheated on my ex. If I'm trying to sell you a dream, I can't be telling you when I get mad, I get vulgar and disrespectful. If I'm trying to sell you a dream, I can't be telling you, I slap girls in the face when I get mad at them, or I punch walls, or I throw tantrums. They're not going to tell you that stuff. They're not going to share any of that information with you when they're trying to sell you on a dream. It doesn't make sense. They want you to be as invested in them and attracted to them and see them as perfect as you can possibly see them. And the only time you'll ever see them as a real flawed human being is when they present to you those flaws. They basically want you to find out for yourself. And they're hoping that by the time you find out, it's already too late because you've given yourself to him. That's basically what they're hoping for. Okay. And so something's up if every time you ask a guy a real question that would actually force him to give you a real response about who he really is, he's telling you he's not here for interrogation. What he's actually saying is, nice try, girl. I'm not going to tell you anything that would make me look bad or that would bring me back down to earth that you wouldn't think I'm a perfect Prince Charming. I'm not going to share with you that information. And so he's basically playing the game that we're discussing. He's holding back on information, right? So that you won't have anything to go off of while he continues to gather information about you that he can utilize to his advantage. I told you guys, it's a battle of who can get the most information. So when the guys are purposely holding back information from you, it's not an accident. Okay, that perfectly gives me a perfect segue into my last point, which is to enchant him. You always, number 8 is to enchant him. You always want to have your energy and focus on how you're going to enchant him to do all of these things that you're supposed to be doing: observing, listening, getting him to be talking about himself, getting him to yap, and overshare and all that good stuff. Okay, you want to be focused on how you enchant him, how you create desire in him, how you get him pursuing you and wanting more of you, because all he'll be focused on is how much he wants you, how much anxiety he feels when he's not talking to you, how much anxiety he feels when he's not seeing you, and how much more he wants to see you and be around you, rather than being focused on getting information out of you. Right? You can enchant him and cast a spell on him that all he's thinking about is how much he likes you and enjoys spending time with you, while all you're thinking about is how much information you're going to extract from him and exactly what more information you need to determine if you want to be in a long-term serious relationship with this guy or not. Okay? Because you're trying to extract maximum information. Right? You're not here to satisfy your short-term needs or feelings, right? Or validate yourself. You're here for none of that. You're here to determine, are you the person that I'm looking for or not? That's what you're here for. And you can't forget that. And as you enchant him, it also makes it much easier to not be so emotionally invested in him. Why? Because when he starts love bombing you, when he starts telling you, oh, I want you to be my wife so bad, I want you to be the mother of my children, I just can't wait to make you my girlfriend and all this stuff. Instead of that putting you under a spell where all you can think about, oh my God, that's so amazing. Oh my God, think how much he wants me. Oh my God, how much he wants to be with me. Oh my God, how much he wants to spend time with me. Oh my God, I must be so amazing to him. I must be like the love of his life, right? Instead of you being enchanted by that, when you're focused on enchanting him, as soon as he starts telling you all that nonsense, it just goes in one ear, out the other. You're like, I don't care about that. I'm focused on getting what I need out of you. So none of that's working on me. Okay? You don't have to say that, but you can just let it pass, right? And not let it affect you while your focus is on, okay, I know what questions I need to be asking. I know how I'm going to steer this conversation. I know, what I'm going to do to get your focus on something else while I extract this information from you. I know how I'm going to structure my questions to get the real out of you. I know how I'm going to get you to take off your mask and admit to things that you didn't want to admit to, right? I'm going to become like your therapist and you're going to tell me every life secret that you have. Not realizing that you're literally doing your own bidding. And if you tell me some stuff that I don't like or I don't appreciate or doesn't work for me, I'm going to walk away. But you be focused on what you're focused on while I enchant you. Okay. So for example, on a date, rather than getting drunk with words that he's going to tell you about how amazing and awesome you are and how much of a wife you are and how he wants to make you your wife, you use that time to be more aware of how you can drive the conversation in the direction to extract the maximum amount of information. Okay? Right? Does that make sense to you guys so far of what we discussed? Do you guys have any questions about what we just discussed on how to not get emotionally attached to a man? Okay. Deb earlier says sometimes there's no connection on a first, so why go to a second? If you go to dinner and get turned off, I cannot stand cologne, allergies, stuff like that you find out on the first date. It's true. And see, this is the thing, the quicker you can bring people, even, not even just men, but we're talking about specifically men in this, but the quicker you can bring, especially the men that are romantic in your life, back down to earth, the better it is for you, because then you can have a level head and go about the relationship in a more controlled, like logical, rational way. Okay. And I know that doesn't sound as romantic and as fantastical as your favorite Disney princess story, but hey, we live in real life. We don't live in a movie. We don't live in a book. Okay. And the unfortunate or fortunate part, depending on how you look at it, the fortunate part about that is you actually have to deal with real people that have real flaws. And if you don't get to know people, they will easily trick you and manipulate you and take advantage of you. So you can't be so willing to fall in love with the dream that you don't ask any more questions or go in search of any more answers. Okay. Madison says, do men behave this way because they're realist? Really, to be honest with you, Madison, I don't think it has to do with anything about being a realist or not. I think it really just has to do with what men want to extract from you, which is squirrel, as simple as that. And if there's a specific strategy to try and do that, they're going to do that. Kilo in the TikTok chat says, boy zesty giving Jezebel advice. I mean, well, Kilo, you're the one in my live chat room watching me on your screen while you actively tell me that you don't like my advice. Don't you think your time would be better served doing something that's productive, that helps your life grow in some capacity? If you don't agree with what I say or what I share, it's perfectly fine. It doesn't bother me or affect me whatsoever. But I'd advise you to probably spend your time doing something that you actually find productive. Okay. Arlene says, I train my mind not to fall in love too quick and just go with the flow. That's the best way to go about it. That's the best way to go about it. It's very easy to get sucked into it at the very beginning when you're really invested in a guy, or you feel like he's like Prince Charming and you super badly want the relationship to work. But that's the worst place for you to be in. You know what I mean? Right? Okay. Let's see. Deb says guys will lie about who they live with. Sometimes. Kilo says, dislike when women get poor advice from dudes just pandering. Yes, I'm just pandering. So do you want me to talk to you about how you should go about your relationships? Are you Kilo, are you a little bit jealous that I don't give you advice on how to get more girls? Is that the problem? Is Kilo jealous? Kilo jealous I don't give him advice? Ooh, does Kilo want attention? I'll give you attention, Kilo, if you want me to give you want one-on-one coaching from me? I give you attention if you want some attention, Kilo. I sorry. I didn't realize that was your problem. I give you attention, Kilo. Okay. Jennifer says, why is it called the Players Club? It's called the Players Club because the whole idea is you can play the game of not just dating, but of life, and get exactly what you want out of it. You understand what I'm saying? I know for some of you, the reason that you're here is because you're wondering, why do I get played? Why do I get manipulated? Why does everyone take advantage of me and get what they want out of me? Meanwhile, I'm left in the dust with nothing. Part of joining the Players Club is realizing you can actually take control even of your own dating and romantic life, and you can get what you want out of life. So you kind of become a player of the game instead of an NPC that just gets things done to them. You understand what I'm saying? When you're a player, you're in control. When you're a player of the game, you're in control. When you're an NPC of the game, you just get things done to you. So you can either do the manipulating or you can get manipulated. It doesn't really matter to me which one you are, but you can choose which one you are. Just know if you're not doing the manipulating or the strategizing, you will get manipulated. So the choice is really yours. Okay. Jeannie asks, why do guys always bring up how many girls they get? What's the point of that? The point there's no real point of that except to like feed their own ego and to hopefully get you jealous that you want him more because of how many girls they get. I always say a little bit of jealousy is good, but realistically, if he really wants you to be jealous, it's better for you to see it than that he gets a lot of girls rather than him just saying it. 99% of the time, the guys who are saying they get a lot of girls don't get a lot of girls. And the guys who get a lot of girls don't need to say it because it's obvious. So most likely if he's saying it, he's just talking, chatting poop. I can't even say sh. Chatting poop. Okay. Sweet earlier says when guys act like Kilo, never see him again. Hey, you said it, not me. Okay. NW says trying to see how to ask the questions, like for a woman to have no feelings, just let him speak. You mean like what are some good questions to ask while dating? I actually did a whole episode about 7 great dating questions. Maybe I'll do another one where we can go more specific. I had some like technical difficulties in that show, so it kind of got messed up a little bit, like my flow got messed up, but I can definitely do another show all about how to ask really good questions on a date to get him yapping, get him talking about himself, get him focused on you. Okay. Right. Base Beauty says, I'm just waiting for Discord time. It's coming soon. For those of you who are curious, if you want to have a question for me, please you go right now into the Discord. If you're on TikTok, go on the link in my bio and go to the Discord, ask your question. If you're on YouTube, go on the link in the description and ask the question because we're about to start Discord in a second. Okay. Pretty Thing says your haircut looks nice. Did you get a shape up? Yeah, I got a shape up like 2 days ago. Y'all like that? Y'all like that? You like that? Okay. Thato says we are in a simulation. Let's play. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Life is, you never know. You discover a lot about the universe. It could be a simulation. Electric Feel says, what if a guy sends you his number on an app? How do I respond to that? What do you mean? Why are you meeting guys on an app? That's my question. Why aren't you meeting them in real life? But if a guy sends you his number on an app, I mean, what else can you do? I mean, you can text him, but like, why are you texting him? I'd advise you to give him your number. If you actually want to talk to the guy, give him your number so he can text you. You always want to let the guy be the pursuer. Don't you be the one texting him. NW says, no, you said to let him share and you collect all the info, then make your decision. How do women get to that point mentally? Are you talking about of making the decision? Well, you make your decision by the process of him talking about himself and what he wants with you in this relationship. You're going to hear if he is in line with the person you're seeking or looking for. See, this is how you get to that point. You first have to write down your wish list or the things that you want in a man, right? That's why I told you guys it's very important. Your wish list is basically just everything that you want in a man and in a relationship. That way you have a hard, tangible thing that you can look at that you know these are the things I'm looking for in any man that I date. Now, it becomes very easy after that because when you go out into your relationships, all you're doing is listening and observing actions. Okay, so you're listening to words and you're observing actions to determine, is this man the person that I wrote down in my notebook? Okay, is this person in line with all the things I wrote down in my notebook? Or is he not? If he's not, then I don't put my time and attention into him. If he is, then I do put my time and attention into him. And this is something you learn in the process of getting to know more about him. You're going to learn more about him and you're going to discover if he is that or not. Okay. A different Kilo Ministry in the YouTube chat says, when is an appropriate time for couples to meet the, where'd it go? For couples to meet the parents? Kilo Ministry, my advice to you is that depends on how much your relationship is growing with that person. I know that that's a vague answer, but go on one date a month with someone for 1 year, and theoretically you've been dating them for 1 year, but you've only gone on 12 dates. Vice versa, someone who goes on 3 dates a week for 4 months has gone on 12 dates in 4 months. And so it's like it really depends on how frequently you're seeing the person, how much time you spend with the person, and all of that type of stuff. Okay. Uniquism in the YouTube chat sends $5 as a donation. Thank you so much, Uniquism. I really appreciate when people like the video and support. Of course, I love it when people like the video and support. I should be more on it. You guys got to do that job for me. I'm kind of bad with that. I'm being like the video, guys, share the video, guys. You guys got to kind of do that for me, because I'd be so focused on giving you guys the information that I'm like only thinking about the information, not about like make sure you guys like and subscribe and stuff like that. But please do that. Yes, I would appreciate that. Thank you so much for the donation. Oh my gosh. Whoa, what the? I didn't even see that. So, okay, thank you so much, Uniquism, for the donation. We got another donation from Electric Feel for $20 now. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Electric Feel. Please give a round of applause, Uniquism and Electric Feel. Thank you so much for the $20 donation. She says, thanks for this awesome content. So helpful. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Electric Feel. And I appreciate you as well for coming and joining me here. Okay. Says I should remind you guys to like and subscribe. I try. I'd be so focused. You guys said it's glitching. Is it glitching? I don't want to start Discord until it's not glitching anymore. Give it a second. It'll stop glitching in a second, and then we'll hop right into the Discord. Okay. Someone in the TikTok chat said, when is a good time to introduce your child to your partner? That's really I would always advise you, this is my own personal thing, if I were you, right, I would advise you to only let someone meet your child once the relationship has been established and is serious, meaning you guys are boyfriend and girlfriend for at least 6 months. Okay. That's my personal advice. So I mean like boyfriend and girlfriend for 6 months before you start meeting the kids and stuff like that. Only because you don't want your kids meeting people to the point where every boyfriend you have, they meet and it becomes irrelevant to them when they meet a guy, because they're just like, that will get swapped out for a new guy in a couple of months. You don't want that. And like Nate making fun of my Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi, I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi. I'm going to have a call with my internet provider, because it's crazy. I pay crazy amount for this internet so that this show will be good for you guys. The fact that I pay crazy amount of money for this internet only for me to have internet problems that's not going to work. Okay. That's not going to work. So I'm going to have a conversation with my internet provider. It's Rogers, for those of you who know what Rogers is. I'm mad. Okay. Let me see here. I had a question that I wanted to answer as well. Seth says, I'm 25. Do you think it's dumb to date someone 10 years older? I'm going to get manipulated. If you're 25, you should be able to hold your own. But I also think 10 years older at 35 is not that bad. But if you feel like you don't have a lot of dating or relationship experience, then you're probably gonna get manipulated. Okay. You have to have a little bit of experience. I mean, you're here, so you're getting some experience and some knowledge. But if you feel like you don't know enough that you could be manipulated, then you're probably want to scale it back a little bit. But dating older is not bad. Okay. Okay. This is no more glitching, or at least it's better now. Let's hop into the Discord. It's Discord time. 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 Okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. It's Discord time. Let's go. It's Discord time. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. It's Discord time. Let's go. ED go down, Lego. ED go down, Lego, 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 Lego. Okay, we're in the Discord now. We always have a wild day on the Discord. Let's see how today goes. So our first question of the day comes from Ali. Ali says, I tried your advice. Now I don't know how to proceed. Okay, Ali, let's see how you should proceed. So Ali says, I've been talking to multiple guys. By the way, guys, I don't advise you guys to talk to multiple guys at once. It's a lot of stress, and you won't be able to properly pay attention to what's going on in each relationship. Okay, I don't advise that. I advise you to talk to one guy at once and then focus the rest of your time and energy on yourself. Okay, just I just want to be clear about that. And have gone on dates, but they have all been a disappointment. Okay, there was one guy in particular that has me persuaded from the beginning. And made it clear that he was looking for something serious. Okay. In my opinion, he came on really strong in the beginning, which made me pull back. Probably a little bit of love bombing, or that's just, he's, coming on strong just in general. Either way, I understand why you would pull back. So you then go on to say, I told him that I'm very busy and not the best texter and will let him know when we could hang out. He respected that and let me be the one to set the hangout. Sounds like you're not that interested in this guy. Finances for him are tight. He does put the effort in and cooks dinner for me, and we do outside activities like hiking and beach days. Sounds good so far. The thing I like about this guy is that he gives me my space, but when I reach out, he is very consistent and validates me. Okay. He recently asked me if I wanted to be exclusive, and I said yes. What's the problem? Now that this is the situation, I would like him to initiate the hangouts, but I don't know how to go about it since I established I'm busy. How should I proceed with this and let him know he can set hangouts now? Because I feel like the dominant one and he is the submissive one. We've been talking for about 1 month and hung out 3 times. Wait. Wait. I thought you. Wait. I thought you said that you were exclusive. Okay. Oh, so I guess not boyfriend and girlfriend, just exclusive. You've hung out 3 times. Okay. Ali, I think that. See, this is the problem. When they come on really strong and they're rushing into things like this, I get that he really likes you, so he wants to like lock you down immediately. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm struggling to see what is stopping him from, like, when did you even start this process of you booking the hangouts? Because you told him you're very busy and not the best texter, and you let him know when you can hang out or whatever. So I think that your approach shouldn't have been, see, this is the mistake you made. You told him that you'll let him know when you could hang out, as opposed to saying, I'm busy and I'm not the best texter. I would love to see you in person. See, the mistake you made was telling him that you'll let him know. You should say, I would love to see you in person and spend some in-person time with you. Then you leave it. That way he has to go take the initiative and say, oh, you'd love to see me in person. Well, when are you free? You don't ask him if he's free or if he wants to hang out. You just let him know that you would love to see him in person. Then he can be the man and say that he wants to hang out and spend time with you. This is the mistake that I highlighted right here. You saying that you'll let him know when you could hang out, you basically put the onus on yourself that you will be the one to tell him when you're ready to see him and what the terms should be, as opposed to him being the one telling you how much he wants to see you and asking you when you're free. And that was the mistake. So in order to correct this mistake, you literally just need to say, I would love to see you in person and spend some in-person time with you, and let him be a man and make the inference, oh, you would love to spend in-person time with me? I've got a bright idea. Why don't we go out on a date together? Why don't we go to this place? Why don't we hang out here? Why don't we do this or whatever, right? Now, if he doesn't respond like that, that would be strange, because it seems like with everything else, he's been pretty upfront with you and pretty forward and taking initiative about it. So I would assume that if if these feelings are genuine, that he's asking you to be exclusive after 3 hangouts. While that's a little bit intense, if they're genuine, then it should be very easy for you to say, I would love to see you in person, and then have him take it the rest of the way. Okay. You shouldn't have to be asking to go on hangouts. You shouldn't have to be asking to go out on a date. You shouldn't have to be the one planning it or scheduling it or anything like that. Okay, Ali? Hope that makes sense to you. Next, we have we have Gina. Gina says, will we ever have a chance? So me, 26-year-old female, him, 28-year-old male, matched on Tinder and hit it off right away. Can you really hit it off on Tinder? We chatted daily and he showed a lot of interest in me. Over text? Over text, he showed interest in you? After 3 weeks, we met up for drinks. It was one of the best dates I've ever had. We had a special connection from the moment we met, and I know he felt the same. We laughed a lot and talked about everything. After he texted me, of course he texted you right away. After he texted me right away, saying how amazing it was. We kept writing intensely. So you're both textaholics. Great. That's magical. It's magical. A week later, we met again for dinner and drinks. It was another perfect evening, and I felt like we knew each other since forever. It sounds like I'm in a dream. We hadn't kissed yet. We kept writing to each other. More textaholism. Including good morning and good night. A few days later, we met up at his place, cooked, watched Netflix, and cuddled a lot. In the end, we slept together and I stayed the night. After that, we met 2 to 3 times a week for almost 2 months and had a fantastic time. I wonder why you're here. We did a lot together. Dates, cooking, going on walks. He introduced me to his best friends and even kissed me in front of them. We just hit it off. He also quickly deleted all his dating apps and kept saying he wished he had met me sooner. Sounds so magical. In the 8th week, he suddenly sent me a long text after some drama with his ex. Here we go. He realized he wasn't 100% ready for a new relationship. Yeah. Even though I am his dream woman. Yeah. He said he saw all my great qualities but felt confused. Confused by what? Thinks I'm a 10 out of 10. Oh, are you? But needs to find himself first. That's interesting. He doesn't want his ex back. Oh, he doesn't? He doesn't? But can't think clearly. I wonder why. His ex had a lot of mental health issues that affected him more than he realized. They broke up 8 months ago. He said he will regret ending things, but just couldn't do otherwise and couldn't develop or allow feelings. He told me not to wait for him because it would pressure him. He was very hurt because he had let go of the woman he could see a future with, but realized he wasn't ready. That's what he realized? This happened 6 weeks ago, and we have been in no contact since. Huh. All the magic came crashing down. I miss him, and I know he felt the connection. What can I do? Will he ever come back? Okay, Gina. Let's have a conversation about what you just went through. Okay? You know, it's always so interesting when the first part of the message sounds like a dream. And then things come crashing down very quickly. You know, I'm glad that you had an amazing time with him. But I think in the process of you having such an amazing magical time with him, because these first couple paragraphs, just everything is amazing. Everything is awesome. You know, it couldn't be more dreamy. Couldn't be more like a Disney princess movie. Here's the problem though. Like we discuss all the time, you're not here to be swept off your feet and enchanted by him and all his amazing awesomeness and how perfect he is. You're here to get the real on who he really is and really understand what's really going on with him. That can be painful. That can also feel a lot less romantic and magical, but you need to do it because in the end, it helps you in the long run. You don't want to end up in a situation where you're realizing things about him that if you would have known them before, you wouldn't have invested this much time and energy into him. Why? The reason I say that is because let's be so for real. I don't give a damn what he says about not wanting his ex back. Okay. He still has a lot of love. I don't want to say in love, but he still has a lot of love for his ex. That is the only way that he can have think about what you just said. He had a single conversation with her. Okay. Or I don't know if drama means he had multiple conversations. Maybe that's what you're implying by drama. And in the process of those conversations, everything he was thinking and feeling about you, all this time that you spent together, thrown out the window. After having conversations with the woman whom his relationship has ended with, I want you to think about that and think about what type of logic that makes or sense that makes. Why would someone who I'm no longer in a relationship with, or I'm no longer involved with, have such a big influence on the future of the rest of my life when our relationship is over and done with? How does that make logical sense? I'm not saying that there's something particularly wrong with him for still having feelings for his ex or whatever it may be. But the idea that this ex can have this much of an influence that he will say you're a 10 out of 10, say that you're amazing and that you're everything he's ever wanted. But despite you being everything he's ever wanted, his head is not clear and he's not in the position to be in a relationship with you. That tells you that what he's saying, what he's trying to help make you believe is that despite the fact that you're perfect, the influence that someone else has on his thoughts, feelings, and emotions will stop him from doing what is actually best for him. Specifically, someone who he's no longer invested in or has a relationship with will actually prevent him from doing what is best for him and being with the person that is best for him. How does that make any sense? That's like me saying, a stranger I met on the street told me not to claim my lottery prize, so I didn't go and claim my lottery prize. I won $10 million playing the lottery, and because a random stranger on the street told me not to go take my lottery prize, I chose to stay home and not claim my lottery prize. That's basically what you're saying, Gina. Because an ex has no influence in what you should and what someone should be doing with the rest of their lives. So the idea that he's telling you whatever drama or situation happened with her has such a big influence that he's not prepared to claim his lottery prize in you, which he's telling you you're like a lottery prize. You're a one of one. is absolutely insane and illogical, and it makes no sense. The reason I say that is because now that we've established that makes no sense, let's establish what could actually make some sense. What could actually make some sense is he's still been involved with his ex this entire time, meaning he's still attached to his ex this entire time. What's also, which would probably tell you why all of a sudden he's throwing things away that are perfect for him to not be with you. Okay, that would actually make some logical sense. What also would make some logical sense is this entire time, for whatever reason, he's just actually not been over the relationship with his ex. And he's kind of used you as a shield or a mask, a band-aid to stop himself from feeling whatever it was that he was feeling for his ex. And it worked up until while he was with you and his ex wasn't in his life and he could actually use you to get over her. But when she came back, when she started, saying all the stuff that pulls on his heartstrings and all that stuff, he found it really difficult to actually not have feelings for her anymore and actually be able to move forward with you. Why? Because his feelings never disappeared for her. They only got put on pause for her while he projected the feelings that he had for her onto you, which is usually why guys come in so amazing and awesome and lovey-dovey right at the beginning. I've been there, okay? I'm telling you this as a man. I've been there, right? As soon as you break up with a girl, you get so accustomed to being in a love state where you love someone and you are so intimate with someone and you share so much with someone that the moment you get out of that state, especially for every guy it's different, but I've been through this before, where you get right out of that state and you naturally want to be invested in someone. You want to love someone. You want to be close and intimate with someone. So you get out of that, and rather than actually healing from the last relationship or the last situation, you just project and to put on pause your feelings for the old girl, and you project them onto a new girl who you love super hard and heavy right at the beginning, very fast, because you're already in the natural state of being in love with someone. And so you find it difficult to not be in that anymore. And so you just project that onto a new girl. The problem is when the ex comes back, he realizes all the feelings he still has for her. So I think that the mistake on your part was not asking the right questions at the beginning when everything was amazing, to actually figure out not just you. I always tell you guys, it's so important to ask about exes, get an understanding of them, also get an understanding of what the relationship is currently and why they ended, how they ended. You need to really be clear on if it's over or if it's just kind of over. If it's over or if they're still in each other's life, if it's over or if they're work buddies, they still see each other at work, right? Because all of these things will determine if you're talking to a guy who's emotionally available or a guy who's emotionally unavailable. So to answer your questions here, right? I don't think that there's anything you should or could do in this scenario, because if he's telling you, hey, I've came to the realization that I'm not ready to be in a relationship, you need to take him at his word. Anything you do to try to make him come to that realization yourself, like to try to help him or stimulate him to come to that realization, is only going to serve a work against you, because even if he does come back to you and be in a relationship with you, it's only going to be because of something you did, not because he came to his own realization of what he wanted. And so until he comes to that realization of what he wanted, unfortunately, Gina, there is nothing you can or should do. You have to sit back and realize that in the future, the thing you need to be focused on, while things might be amazing in the very beginning, you need to be focused on having a clear understanding of where that person's been, who they've been with, and what the status of their relationship is now, and get a truthful understanding of what their feelings are now for this new person. Okay? That's my advice to you. As sad as it is, unfortunately. Okay. Next we have can PP possess me? Relationship rookie. This is actually really funny. Can PP possess me? Okay. Let's get into this. Okay, so T says, hi Tomisin, I am a very long time viewer of yours and I enjoy watching you grow and progress. I am a single 20-year-old female relationship virgin, and I lost my V card to a 21-year-old male about a year ago. Okay. It was a situationship, had pineapples with girls all over the state. Okay. Went as far as a few of my associates. Okay. Would go cold at any hint of me doing anything with someone else, would act desperate when I pulled back, gaslit me, average toxic behavior. So why'd you do it? Sometimes when I was aware of a girl being in his presence, or just whenever we weren't talking, my body would become cold, sweaty and shaky all of a sudden, almost as I was nervous about something, but nothing was going on with me. Okay, it's like intuition. And my stomach would turn consistently to the point where I couldn't even sleep. This is crazy anxiety you're having. For example, he stood me up to take some 17-year-old girl to homecoming. Okay. Behind my back, and I found out through her recording them at dinner. This is weird. And when I brought it up to him, he gaslit me and ghosted me for that night, and I assumed they had pineapples. Moments like that is when this feeling would occur, and I would become restless. My pineapple discipline was basically non-existent. He threw off my pH balance. He threw off my pH balance, my cycle, my overall health, really. Okay? But he always knew what to do with me. So I kept going back until I no longer cared whether he left me or not. You're an addict. You are possessed. Like that, you're actually possessed. But as I expected, he ghosted me eventually. Even now, over a year later, sometimes this feeling just washes over me randomly, and I don't know how to calm myself down or control it. It feels like torture. This is the closest thing to a relationship I've ever... This is the closest thing? I've moved on. Worked on my discipline, stayed celibate for a while, but I'm ready to get back out there. However, I know guys when it comes to their tactics and manipulations. So I have two questions. When dating around, how do I tell people I don't have that much relationship experience without them translating it to, oh yeah, she's fresh meat? Am I spiritually possessed? I'm sorry, the way you said it, it just makes me laugh. Am I spiritually possessed by PP? Is this a thing? I'm sorry. It just, why are you saying it like that? Why are you saying it like that? As I'm imagining like the exorcism. Am I spiritually possessed by PP? Is that a thing? If so, how can I identify what's... I'm sorry. What's happening to me and get rid of it? Or at least regulate it, thanks. Okay. Okay, thanks T for the good detailed message. Okay, I don't think that you're possessed by PP, okay? I think that, sleeping with someone and losing your V card to them can be a very emotional process, okay? And I know that it feels like it's everything right now. But I promise you, as you only have the one experience. So as time goes on, you'll probably experience more PPs and you'll realize like, while that was probably good, there's more out there, okay? And it stops being so magical the more there is out there. Now, I'm not saying go out and sleep with every guy in the world, okay? I'm not saying that. I wouldn't advise that at all. I actually think you should be even more, because you're like this, I think you should be even more protective of yourself and who you actually give yourself to, because clearly you become super spiritually and emotionally invested in whoever it is that you're with, okay? I think really what most of this is about, in terms of this guy that you're discussing, is not really about how good his PP is, because it doesn't sound like how would you know you're new to this? But it doesn't sound like you're having some crazy olasms, and it doesn't sound like it's out of this world type of thing. You're Squirtle Squirtlin. So you wouldn't even know if it was good or not. You just know that it's your first time and you enjoyed the experience, and it's probably a really emotional experience for you, being your first time. So that's more of what you're attached to really than being possessed by PP. Okay. So, and how you get rid of it, you should watch my episode that I talk about how to detach yourself emotionally from a man. And all the things, and you're kind of doing it here. Part of one of the things I talk about in that episode is about writing down all the pros and cons of the person and everything you've been through in real situations that you've been through. Because when you write down the cons, you'll see how long the list is, and you'll get disgusted with yourself as to like, well, why would I invest my time and energy into someone that constantly shows me they don't give a damn, like, and you'll realize how little you have to respect yourself in order to continue putting yourself through that. Okay. And that can be a very sobering realization. I'd advise you to write down your cons list, or copy and paste all this stuff you said to me and have it be your background on your phone screen so you can see it every time. And anytime you think about wanting to text him or talk to him again, you can reread this and realize how stupid it would be to do so. Okay. So watch my episode on how to emotionally detach yourself from a man. It will give you in even more detail everything that I would tell you to do in order to just stop it being such a big deal for you. Okay. Because there's nothing that this guy did for you except put his PP inside you. Okay. And this is your first time, so we don't even know if that was actually good, if he was actually hitting it crazy or not. You could have been getting railed by a pencil for a minute and a half, and you would have thought it was amazing simply because you don't have enough experience. Nothing wrong with not having experience, but you don't really even know if it was good or not. Okay. So yeah. This other question here, when dating around, how do I tell people that I don't have much experience? You don't. You definitely don't want to see. I just finished telling you, if you've been a long time watcher, you should have heard me say it before. This game is an information game. So the more information other people have on you, the more information they have to utilize against you, and vice versa. The more information you have on other people, the more information you're able to use against them. And if you're telling people openly that you don't have a lot of relationship experience, well, then the first thing that pops into guys' mind is, whoa, I can take advantage of her crazy, because she has no idea how this works. She doesn't even know the tricks. She doesn't even know how guys regularly manipulate. She doesn't know the tactics or any of that. And so she's so naive that I can play her like a fiddle, get what I want from her without any commitment, and then walk away scot-free. You don't want to give the guys that information that they'll easily be able to know that they can take advantage of you. Now, I'm not saying be dishonest with people, and I'm not saying if you start dating and having a boyfriend that you should tell him, it starts getting really serious with the guy, that you should never tell him about your past or your experiences or things like that. I just think coming out on a first date or coming out with every guy you meet and being like, I'm just letting you know before we even start that I have no relationship experience and I literally just lost my V card, so I need to be taught everything. All he's going to think is, woo, I get to take advantage of someone who is very naive. You don't want people to see you as someone who's very naive. They'll start acting very strangely around you. Okay. So those are my two answers to your two questions. Okay. That is that T. That was really funny. Possessed by PP. You funny girl. You funny girl. Trust me. It's just your first time. I don't think you know no good PP yet. Okay. Get a rose first. Get a rose first before you start knowing about any of that. Am I being chased? PNO says. Okay, PNOP says, a little background to preface my question. A lot of this occurred from September 2023 to now. Okay, I, 25-year-old female, and this guy, 25-year-old male, that I'm really interested in. We met on Hinge last fall, spent a month DMing each other. After he asked for my IG. The month of DMs, nothing crazy, just chatting here and there as I was busy planning a party for my best friend and going on a vacation. He was respectful of my time, checking in and not pressuring me about not being available over Instagram DM. He asked me out on a date and we had an amazing first date. We talked and laughed so much that our waitress had to circle to the table 4 to 5 times just to take our drink orders before we ordered dinner. He was a gentleman the entire night. During the time we were DMing, we agreed we'd watch a show together. I know where this is going. And since we didn't want the night to end, we went back to his place. Chat, do you know where this is going or no? Can you smell where this is going, chat, or no? We watched an episode, only one episode, talked and laughed until 2 a.m. No pressure, no pineapples. Nothing happened except for kissing. You know what? I'm proud of you. Because honestly, I thought this was going straight to pineapple land. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. We exchanged numbers that night and we would text in addition to DMing. Oh God. So you guys are a different type of addicts. It's not enough to just text. You got to text while you DM, while you send the Instagram reels as well. Okay. Wow. This is a true addiction. He works a lot and for his family business, so he's quite busy. We hung out a few times at his place in between dates. No pineapples. If anything ever happened, it was just kissing, heavy petting above the waistline. Okay. He's been nothing but kind to me and reassuring that it's not about pineapples through his actions, not just his words. Okay, so what's the problem? I told him I didn't want to have pineapples until we're officially in a relationship when it was brought up. Sounds good. Now the problem. He told me early on in our talking stages that he was going to remodel his home. The renovations started in December and were supposed to last only a month. At first, he was excited and wanted to share with me everything that was going on, but as the process had begun, he was becoming really stressed about it because there was problems popping up everywhere, pushing back his move-in date to the end of February. Things got really scarce in terms of talking, I think you mean texting, by January. A little after his birthday, he told me he thought he wasn't being fair to me and told me he wasn't ready for commitment because he couldn't give me appropriate time, attention, and affection, his words. We stopped talking through text, thank God. And I'll admit it was hard for me to not send memes on IG. You guys be thinking I be pulling stuff out of my butt, huh? You guys think when I talk about the stuff that I know you're doing, that it's not what people are actually doing. I eventually stopped that after realizing that I wasn't giving him space. One day at the end of February, we started flirting after he replied to a story of mine, addiction. I kept it short and cute, and later that night, he reached out to me asking to show me the house, I'm assuming. Everything he told me he was doing with the place was mostly done, but he still needed appliances and electrical work done to complete it. When I showed up, he actually wanted to show you like in person. When I showed up, we hugged and he gave me a tour of his house before catching up. We shared what we had been up to, and he told me what else he needed to be done and the upcoming matters of his life. During the talk, he would touch my arm, give me compliments on my intelligence, advice on my birthday plans I was making, and even hinted at us seeing each other again once renovations were complete. We talked and laughed for hours and ended the night with him walking me to my car. As we hugged goodbye, he said to me, he told me his heart was pumping. He said he didn't want to lie and tell me he was ready for a relationship. He emphasized he wasn't ready right now and that he knows that I want it. I told him that I appreciated his honesty, that I would respect he needed his space. We hugged and he lifted me off the ground. He was probably rock solid too. I'll admit I reached out to him twice since that encounter. Yeah, you're probably soaking. So removed him as a follower on IG because I was getting anxious about seeing him online but not in person because you're both addicts. I did let him know I wanted space online. He texted me back and was nice, but we haven't spoken since. So my question is, it's been 1.5 months since I messaged him, and it's been nearly 3 months since we saw each other in person. When we last talked, it really felt like we would find our way back to each other. I know all I can do is live life and carry on, but it does drive me crazy sometimes just thinking about how we fit so well together. I've already tried dating other guys and ended up thinking about him because I miss him and haven't given it a proper chance with someone else who could be nice. Do I let it marinate or just call it a loss? Thank you for the question. This is a great question, Piano. I think that in your situation, like you kind of already mentioned, the only thing you can do is sit back, chill, and relax, simply because you can never convince a guy to want to be in a relationship with you, and you can never really take any action that will stimulate him to come to the realization that, you know, he's ready for a relationship. You have to allow him the space to live his life. And in the process of living his life, the same way you're dating other people, maybe he'll date other people too and realize that he only really wants you, or like it's very different when he's not being with you. See, sometimes you have to accept, I know this is going to be very painful to accept. You have to accept that despite what you were feeling about him and what you thought he felt about you, it will only be clear to you if he continues to pursue you. So unfortunately, regardless of everything he says and all the experiences you've had with each other and how amazing it made you feel when you were with each other, the reality of it is the only true example of what he really feels towards you is if he actually comes back and is like, look, I'm ready to be with you. Because regardless of where he is in his life, regardless of how much money he's got, regardless of if his renovations take 3 months or 3 years, if he really wants you that badly, if he really knows that you're the person that he wants to be with, he'll say, damn all of that, I need to be with you, and we're going to make this thing work. And the fact that he's not in that position just honestly says that he's not ready. He doesn't have enough interest in you to be driven to try and make it work. So while he might like you on a casual sense and like spending time with you, he doesn't like you enough to actually try and build a relationship with you. And the reality of it is there's nothing you can or should do to try and change that except focus on yourself and allow him to come to that realization if he does. And if he doesn't, you have to accept the fact that he just wasn't ready for you. And that's not a crime. That's not even necessarily a bad thing. But it is something you're going to have to accept. So the same thing I said even to the last person, your best thing now is to probably watch my video on how to emotionally detach yourself from a man, that you can stop consistently putting yourself in a position to lose in your future by constantly thinking about this relationship and what it could have been when that relationship is over. Because it's not allowing you to experience anyone new in your life, even if that person is an even better fit for you and actually wants to build a relationship with you. Because you have to imagine how much you could be missing out on with a guy who might be even better for you, but also might actually want to build with you just because you're thinking about what this wasn't. And sometimes you can find yourself in a position where the idea that you didn't get to explore this relationship fully is more what you think about and miss than the actual person. Sometimes we have to be honest with ourselves and realize that it's not always about the person. Sometimes it's just about the experience and the fact that like, oh, I just don't know what it could have been. And in your situation, you can't spend the rest of your life thinking about what a relationship that's not being could have been. It will not allow you to meet new people and grow other relationships. So I think you actually need to emotionally detach yourself from this guy, that you can properly move forward and grow real relationships. Okay? Piano, that is the show for today. Don't worry if you have a question for me and I didn't answer it today. I'll answer it tomorrow or on the future shows. Don't you worry. I answer all the questions on the Discord. And if you didn't get a chance to send in your question, please feel free to send it in. If you're on TikTok, you just go to the link in my bio and you can send it in there. If you're on YouTube, you can go down in the description and click the Discord link and send it there as well. Okay. If you are wondering where you can see everything that I post and see everything that I'm doing all the time, 24/7, you can just head over to my Instagram right above my head on the left, if you're on TikTok, and right at the bottom right if you're on YouTube, and you can see everything that I do in a single day on Instagram there, and scroll down my feed and see who I've been since I came here in front of you. If you're on if you're on TikTok and you're like, I love this show, I want to see this more, I want to be about this more, this is so awesome, I love this so much, and you want to see this entire live stream or all the previous live streams that I've done in the past, you can go on my YouTube page, which is right above my head on the right. Just type in my name on the search bar or copy and paste it, screenshot it, whatever you want to do. And you will find my page. Go to the live section. You'll find all the live shows with the TikTok and the YouTube chat embedded in the live show, where you can get all the context of all the conversation. Okay. For those of you who are wondering what times I go on, I'm live every day, Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be on the lookout for that if you're wondering when you can catch me again. All right. That is the show for today. I will see you guys tomorrow. I love you so much. Au revoir. Goodbye. Hasta la vista. All that good stuff. And I love you. And I will see you again tomorrow. 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 Won't be long.